everyone. I am coming to you from my little bed corner of our room. My sewing space is right across from me, so don't mind the shoebox of a house that I live in. But I wanted to do a clear video of how I laid out the template for this dress, and I actually did an entirely edited, uploaded a YouTube video, and I kept watching it, and it was confusing to me, and I can only imagine what y'all would have thought. So I'm going to try to do this sort of a format, and hopefully it's clear. So this dress, first off, I'm just super happy with it. It tickles my fancy. But, so I already released the bodice for this dress, alright? That video's been out for, I don't know, a couple months. And this file, all of the files are available on Etsy, and if you choose to go over there and purchase them, I really appreciate the support and all that jazz. So this file is for the bodice, and this is $3.50. All of the files are a vector. Sorry, it is thundering outside. And on the side note, my husband has the kiddos, which is why you don't hear them in the background. He's off doing some errands. So yeah, they're all vector driven, so you can blow them up to your heart's content, and they will never become pixelated, which is wonderful. Anywho, so this is $3.50 on Etsy, and then the skirt, which is what I'm going to be explaining how I did that, how I laid out the template for it. There's two files for that. I will get into why there's two files in a second. One of the files is called the Antique Shadow Embroidered Flowers, and that's the one that I started with. So what I did, every single page is numbered, okay, and it's numbered page 1 of 5. 2 of whatever, and then it says left side of the dress according to the wearer. So what I did was the whole idea with this design is that you've got these, these like kind of vertical sections of flowers and stems, and I wanted the stem from the bodice to connect with stems from the skirt. And because of that, I actually waited to embroider the stems on the skirt until the entire dress was together. That way, if it was like a 1/4 of an inch off or whatever, as I, connected the dress, then I could make up for that with the hand embroidery work and just kind of fudge it over a little bit, you know what I mean? So I took page 1 of 5. This is the left side of the dress, and I just placed it so that stem was close to this stem. I did have an extra inch on the top of my that waist, because I knew I was going to be doing all this hand embroidery work, and I didn't want I wanted the opportunity to cut off that extra inch and have a clean cut there for when I go to assembling my dress. Hope that makes sense. So I put page 1 1.5 inches down from my cut edge. That gives me an extra inch that I'm going to cut off later, and then it gives me 1/2 inch of seam allowance. And then, so I put page 1, then I put, as I'm working around my circle, page 2, and they're kind of just angling off. And the angle is up to you. Every single skirt, as you increase the diameter, for different sizes, or you increase the length of your hem, or the length of your skirt for a longer skirt, it's all gonna change a lot. The circumference really picks up as you increase that diameter or you increase the length. So the angle is just gonna be what you want it. You're gonna play designer here, it's kind of like art, there's no right or wrong. It's just what you like. Now there is, on every single page, there's some repeat. So like page 2 has some of page 1, which helps you align them together, okay? Helps me align them together as well. So I just angled off page 1 and 2, and then by the time that I got around to page 3, I was on my hem, and that was the idea for me. This design though can click together in so many different ways, so make it your own, run with it if you wish. If you don't want to do this but you kind of like where the design's headed, make it your own. Choose your own colors by all means, and there's nothing wrong with copying me. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're like, oh, I want to do this instead, yeah, of course, you do you, So I've got page 3, page 4, and page 5 as I went around the circle, okay? Just lining them up. They're not going to line up exactly because you are dealing with a circle skirt, so the flower might be a little bit off. That's okay. You just line it up, make it as balanced as possible, and it's fine. It's no big deal. Now, I just did the opposite on the right-hand side of the dress, and you'll see on the file, every single page has that Antique Shadow Embroidered Flowers. That's the main file, and you'll see on every single page what number page it is and the left side of the dress according to the wearer, or the right side of the dress according to the wearer. So when you get to the right side, it says inverted page 1 of 5, because we are doing the same stuff, it's just been flipped. So it's, you know, it's been inverted. So that's gonna go same thing, just in reverse over here. Now, when I was working on this, well, before that, when I got to the back, because every single circle skirt is going to be, you know, its own circumference, and I can't design for every single one, it's very likely you're going to have a gap in the back, okay, once you've done your pages. Or maybe you won't be able to fit 1 through 5 in there. You just sort of make it work and have it come together so you're happy with it. So for me, there was a gap in the back of mine. So I just grabbed, I think it was page 4, because I liked where the pattern was. I was like, oh, page 4 will fit in nicely. So I did that. Some of the flowers I didn't copy over because they were previous flowers already traced there. And yes, my tracing is a little bit of a hot mess because I did this right before a nap time and I was just kind of racing to get it done. I wanted to start on this as, you know, we enter nap time. So make it, you know, just kind of make it work when you get to that back area. Like I said, you might not get through all the pages and you might have a gap, one or the other. The idea that 1 through 5 is going to be an even thing for your circle is unlikely. It might happen, but it's unlikely. So when I was done doing, you know, this angle down and this wrap around, I looked at this and I was like, I've got this big gap here in the front of the dress with nothing on it. So that's where file 2 comes in, and file 2 is called middle of skirt, okay? And it actually has a little diagram for you on the first page. This is like the center front right here, and you can see I've got listed like, and it's got like a little transparent box of page 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, kind of showing you where each one is placed. It also has, you know, right hand side of skirt or left hand side of skirt according to where, depending on which side you're on. So for that one, I just connected it up and I went page 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 as it made sense. Again, reference this first sheet for that, but you just do it as it works for your design and as you like it. This is what you want to make it. Like I said, you can copy me and that is perfectly fine, or you can take your own thing and run with it. Change the colors up. I think monochromatic would be absolutely gorgeous. I think very, very subtle. I went a little bit more bold on the colors, which I'm happy with, but subtle colors could be really happy. Floche has a ton of colors to choose from. That's what I use to embroider this, and I personally think that Floche just takes the cake when it comes to shadow embroidery. It is yummy goodness. I love my DMC floss, but man, that Floche with shadow embroidery, I have not found anything that holds a candle to it. So that is that. The one modification that I made, but I'm leaving in the design, are these the yellow dots you see are supposed to be like yellowy orangey dots, are supposed to be French knots. I did not do that, okay? I did do it on the bodice, but when it got down to the skirt, and I played around with putting in some purple, and I just played around with some things, of course, in the middle of the night. I took some cell phone photos with some crappy lighting. It was like 2 in the morning or some crap. But anyway, I just thought that it was a little heavy for this choice of fabric. I love the fabric, but it just looked heavy for it. It just like, I felt like the design needed a little bit of sparkle, but it was just too much. So then I went to doing pearl beads, and again, I just thought it was too heavy. Maybe some seed beads would have looked nice, I don't know. But what I decided to do instead was to do some hem stitching. And it's been a highly requested video, so that's finally out. But yeah, I'm really happy with the hem stitching. It gave that little bit of like very subtle sparkle, which I was like aching for, a little subtle sparkle in this dress. You know, it makes the fabric, it just goes with, in my opinion, it just goes with everything. It makes it still light and airy, just with a little bit of sparkle to it. So yeah, check out that video on how to do hem stitching by hand. You'd be pleasantly surprised with how easy it is. I just went around and just did little swoops here and there, and I just hem stitched it. It went quite quickly, and I just like the look of it. So I hope that explains how I laid out the file. The rest of the, the most of the embroidery motif on how to actually do the stitching is in the previous video that I went over with the bodice. There are 2 stitches though that I want to show, I'm just going to link to the video that I already edited with the voiceover on this blue flower and the pink with the yellow center. So keep on watching to figure out how to stitch those, or how I stitch them at least. And yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for your support on Etsy if you decide to go over there and buy them. And that's about that. So I start on one of those little outside sections and I go back and forth alternating sides so there's some shadow coverage behind that section. And then I use the back stitch to travel across that middle section. And once again I finished it off by going back and forth on the other little outside section, so again there's some coverage behind that. And then I just filled in the rest of the flower. So it's just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth until it's all filled in. And finally, to outline the bottom of the flower, I use the back stitch again. And the last flower that we need to cover is this big pink one with a yellow center. Not sure if that actually occurs in nature, but hey, it's what I wanted to do. And of course, y'all can pick your own colors that tickle your fancy. There's a ton to choose from. So for the center, I found the best method was to do the back stitch to cover one of the small sides and then do the back and forth, the regular shadow work, embroidered, back and forth alternation as you travel down those longer sides of the oval to get that shadow work embroidered effect. And then complete the other small side with more back stitches. And then the pink petals are the same concept. I started with one of the smaller sides, and depending on the petal, I would fit between like 1 to 3 stitches, and then I traveled up that petal going back and forth to get the shadow work embroidered effect, and finally I went across the top of the petal outlining it with the back stitch. Of course you could have started with the top of the petal, gone down the petal, and ended with the small side. It's all the same, There you have it. I hope this video was helpful. If you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments below and I will do my best to answer them. And as always guys, I appreciate y'all for watching, and we will hope to catch y'all next time.